welcome, it's Barbara. Welcome to December 13th of our December daily collaging. Actually, before we look at today's prompt, I need some candy. So let's check my Haribo calendar. Let's see what it has today. Here's number 13. What are these? It says children's pacifiers. So I guess they are the regular flavor, but in pacifier shape. Totally fine with me. So this is what they look like. Yum. Let's look at our prompt sheet. As always, this is linked below in the description box, as well as the playlist of my December dailies. And another reminder, if you're on Instagram, please don't forget to post your pages under 49 Dragonflies December Daily 2020. I would love to see your pages. I'm sure other crafters would like to see your pages and get inspiration. So it would be great if you could do that. We're going to tackle prompt number 2, which says use a napkin either as a background element or a focal point. I have so many napkins. I need to use them. So this is where we are. Let me clamp this down. I really like this cluster, this big cluster here. I really like this method. I think I need to do that again sometime. I already chose a napkin, which is this beautiful one with this cute little bird. I'm actually wondering if I should do it this way. Well, we can still decide that. Let me first take off the 2 layers. I mean, I'm assuming it has 2 layers. As always, I'm doing this with regular tape, pulling on it to get a big hole, and then to easily pull this off. Using the same tape. I kind of ruined that. Let's see if it's still sticky. Do it one more time. Yes, it works. This one actually might have 4 layers. It looks like there is another layer, so let's get another piece. Watch me ruin it now. Try it here where there's nothing. Yeah, there is another layer. Yeah, so you never know. But this is actually, maybe it's because this is not a napkin, it's actually a tissue. So they are probably more likely to have a 4th layer. Now you see how nice and transparent it is. So now we know that it's the last layer. How beautiful is this? I kind of really want to do it like this because I don't want to miss all the beautiful leaves it has along here. I think that just screams for sideways. Yeah, let's just do that. I have my water brush, which is probably gonna give me blobs again. I will try this one more time with dipping it in water. Last time that didn't work so well. Maybe I will, no, I'll actually leave it on the page so that I know where I want to do this. I'm just going to gently go around the image. Like that. Actually, that didn't blob. Wow, that's a first. Now it tears exactly where I put the water. Like that. And I can keep him for another project. I'm going to start off by priming my page with gesso again. This way we will still see the text through it. And I'm wetting my brush for this. So we'll see the text through, but the page will be protected. And whatever we throw onto it will look a lot better. And if we add any colors, those will turn out better. But mostly it just protects the page so that whatever we put onto it isn't completely soaked up. Okay, going to let that dry. Once this is dry, I'm going to add my napkin, and this time I'm going to try to add it without putting anything underneath, because I'm guessing it will seep through anyway. And I'm going to again use my matte deco glue. I'm gonna use it with a wet brush to make sure that it is thin enough. Let's just see what happens. I'm curious how this will work. I've never tried this before. I'm gonna start in the middle. Gently put it on. Very, very gentle. Don't want to jinx it, but it looks like it's working. So this seems to work better for me, because I always struggle if I put Mod Podge or whatever underneath and then try to put the napkin on, and then once I put the Mod Podge or whatever it is I'm using over it, it tears. Now this might still tear. There's still plenty of opportunity to tear. But so far this seems to be much easier. If you're just gentle with it, it seems to be working perfectly. So I think this is gonna be a method I'm going to stick with. I will still use glue stick when I want to keep the feeling of the napkin so that it feels like fabric. But that's not what I want for this one. So this is, see now here it's tearing, so I should stop. Yeah, I'm gonna leave it right there and make sure it's really dry before I do anything else. You probably don't see the hole, let me show you. So right there, it started to tear, but that's not a big deal. Okay, so I'm gonna take this to my heat gun and dry it completely. It is now dry and you can beautifully see the text underneath. I love that. Actually, it's not totally dry. It's still a little wet here. I think it should be okay. The rest is dry. Now I want to cut off the excess on both of these edges. And then I'm going to cover the whole page with some liquid gesso, I mean some clear gesso, just to protect it some more, because I'm going to be adding some more wet media to it, and I just want to make sure that it is completely safe. I'm going to be gentle with this again. Going all the way to the edges. Just making sure I covered everything. So one more time, I need to let this completely dry. So this is again one of those pages that are great to do if you have a lot of stuff to do at home. You can always let this dry for an hour or so and then do some more stuff, or read a good book, or watch a movie and then continue later. Okay, so I'll see you back in a bit. This has dried in the meantime as well, and now it's nice and rough. I feel like it's protected pretty well now. And the next thing I want to do is add some texture paste. We're gonna go full mixed media today. And I chose this stencil, which has like some florals and some leaves, but I think I'm gonna use this one here with the leaves. And what I want to do is go in from the sides to just add some texture paste all the way around. Hopefully we can make that happen. Just gonna put this underneath to protect the other page. I have a texture paste which is a Swiss brand. It's Lazo. It's called Modeling Paste C Natural. I tried to find this online, but I could not. So I can only tell you to use whatever texture paste you are comfortable with. I find there are big differences between the consistency of different brands of texture pastes. I've had some that were so soft that didn't really work great as a texture paste. This one I love. It's very grainy and coarse, and it really stands up well. So I could really recommend it if if I could give you a link, but maybe you'll just have to try a few brands before you get the one that you love. So I'm going to start, where am I going to start? Maybe I'll start in this corner. Of course, this is quite difficult because I have this ridge here and I can't really put it as flat as I want, but I'll just have to do what I can. So I'll scoop up some texture paste on the back of my spatula and then kind of just scrape it along and try to get a more or less even coat through the holes. You can hear how coarse it is because it's so grainy, but that's what I love about this. See if that worked. Yes. Oh, that is beautiful. A good quality texture paste will really look this 3D. If it's softer, it will then just kind of be runny and you won't have these crisp patterns. So maybe that's what to look out for. So if you have different choices of texture paste, like if there's maybe a soft, a medium, or something like this, get the hardest one you can find. That would be my tip. I'm just gonna try to wipe some of this away. I want to have a fresh start with the stencil. Okay, let's do some down here. It might take you a little bit of practice as well if you're not used to doing this, to get a feeling for how much you need to put on the stencil and how to scrape it. This of course is easier on this side because it's flat. So again, I'm just putting it on and then I'm scraping it through the holes, holding it relatively flat. Kind of like spreading peanut butter on your bread. It just doesn't taste as good. And then when I see that all the holes are filled, then I just scrape along on the top to get an even finish like this. And then I just lift it off and we have a beautiful, beautiful pattern. Going to clean this off again. I think it's also important to clean it in between. Maybe I'll take a wet baby wipe because otherwise you're going to get the residue on your page, which won't make a clear impression. Okay, let's do this one now, like that. So this is really thick. This is like a plaster you would put on your wall. So if yours doesn't come out well, my guess is that your texture paste is too fluid. That's usually what I realized when I used different texture pastes. It's probably not your fault, it's just a bad quality texture paste. switching to a cleaner piece of paper. And I've cleaned my stencil once again, so last corner. Of course, this here in the corner here, this especially more than this on the other side is quite raised. So what I might have to do once it has dried, because the page needs to fold here, I might have to file that down. And I would need to do that before I start putting any color on it, otherwise I will file the color away. So once again, time to let this dry. It's about an hour or so later, and this I think is dry enough to work with. So as you can maybe see here, this is quite bulky right here, this part here, and it's too close to the spine. So I want to try to sand that down a little. I'll put a paper here. That's gonna get dusty and messy. And I have this sanding block here that I got from my hardware store, but you can definitely use a nail file as well. And I'm going to try to just gently sand it down a bit without taking the whole thing off. Okay, I flattened it a little bit. I don't think you can tell much. This is about as much as I got off, so not a huge amount, but I think it did help us a little bit. And now I want to try something that I've seen Marta from Marimi Small Art do. And she takes her watercolors, so I'm using again my Koi watercolors. And I'm going to try to do what she does, kind of. Just trying to see how I can place everything. So what I'm trying to do is to put watercolors, but very diluted, so I want soft colors. And I will try to put them on the edges and have them run through the texture paste, and we'll see what comes out. I'm just a bit worried about the spine here getting too wet and then getting soggy and maybe tearing the page. I could put some masking tape there. I will actually do that. Maybe it helps a little. I just hope it won't destroy the page when I take it off. So maybe I will make it a little less sticky first. Because with those old book pages, they can tear so easily. So I'm just gonna put it on my arms a few times and hope that it just isn't as sticky then anymore. Okay. Okay, maybe that will help. I have my brush, normal paint brush. So the colors I want to use are colors that are in here. So there's tans and browns, there's a little bit of blue and yellow. Don't think I'll be adding red. So let's start safely with some beige and maybe some yellow, but I think I'll first start with beige. Again, I didn't spritz them before, so that's not good. Okay, let's just go for it, see what happens. I want this wet because I'm gonna add some other colors and I do want them to mix with each other. Never done this before, by the way. Keep it nice and wet. So that is why it's so important to not do this on the book page directly. We have 2 layers. We have actually 3 layers underneath, so we should be fine. I think Marta does this much more delicately than I'm doing it. I feel like an elephant at the moment. Just going over everything. She does it like so, I don't know how to describe it. So then we could add in some brown maybe. Is this brown? Should be brown. Yeah, now see, it's because it's wet, it's kind of mixing, so that's kind of cool. That's what I was looking for. So I'm not putting it everywhere, I'm just kind of putting it in some places. Okay, what else can we mix in? Should we try some blue? Which will probably turn into a green because I'm putting it on yellow. Yeah. Oh well, I'll do it anyway. Yep, totally green. What else? I feel like I kind of want some of the brown more towards the outer edges. So let's add some more of that, maybe a little darker even. Just going along the edges there. Not thinning it out as much. Maybe going in just a little bit. So I want this to kind of frame the whole thing. At the same time, I don't want any harsh edges. Trying to blend it out. This is so much fun. It is so much fun to explore with colors, because you never know how they're gonna react. Or at least I never know how they're gonna react, which is half the fun, to always be surprised. I think the most important thing is here that really everything is blended out nicely. Because if you see harsh edges, I think that would ruin everything. Now going over it with the watercolor, this hole that we had here completely disappears, so that's cool. And if this was a bare book page, I could never blend this out like this, because the book page would soak up the liquid so quickly that there's no way you could spread it with a brush like this. But this makes it dry more slowly and you can spread it a lot better. Wondering if I should try to add just a little more blue, but it will again turn into green. Unless maybe if I dry it first, I could try adding a little more blue. I'm gonna try that. So I will dry this and then we'll add some blue. It's more or less dry, not completely, but I think enough. Got myself some clean water, cleaned my brush, so let's give this another try with the blue. Now let's add some water to make it flow. This is maybe where it will again turn green. It's more blue now than it was before, because this was the green and this is now the blue. So yeah, that's looking better. Just gonna try to get rid of some of this liquid here in my spine. I don't like that. That can't be good for the spine. And it's going underneath my masking tape as well. I feel like I want to add some more yellow as well, maybe a little more gold yellow. Of course, if I add this where the blue is, it's going to be green again, so I have to be careful to stay away from that. trying to blend it a little bit. It's very yellow now, isn't it? I could try daubing some of that away from the middle, from here. Yes. That's better. I think I'm quite happy with this actually. I don't think I'm gonna add any more colors, so I will let this dry one more time. Okay, this is dry-ish. I don't have more patience to wait longer. So let's peel this off in the hope that we're not damaging the book pages. I feel that it has definitely helped. The spine is dry, so that's really awesome. So that worked really well. So you should do that. If you do work with wet media in your pages, that's a good thing to do. Now I do want to just distress around here because I didn't put paint there. And this was supposed to be this blue. Yeah, didn't quite work out. I do want to add a sentiment. I saw one here from my winter quotes, which is a very simple one. Winter is magic. Going to cut that out without the border. I want it small. I think I want it small. Maybe I'll cut it first with the border, and then I can still cut it down more if I need to. So this is it with the border, which really makes it stand out a lot more than I want it to. So I am gonna cut it down and ink up the edges. I'm hoping that way it will blend in a little bit more. Doesn't need to be so in your face. Yes, I like that better. And then we need to add the date. I kind of want to put it in here, which will then be covered by whatever card I put in here, which is fine. I just don't think it goes anywhere here. I could put it right on his head there. No, I won't do that. So we'll put it here. December 13, very small. As I was editing this video, I realized that these blue-green spots are way too dark and I didn't really like them, so I'm going to try to soften those a bit with my wide water brush. So let's see if that helps. Okay, I'm going to dry this. I think it's a little more subtle now. And the other thing I'm thinking is if I should bring out these berries a little more by adding a few more berries around the edges. This could be a total hit or miss. I'm gonna take my water brush with a fine tip. I have my Koi watercolor paints here again, and I'm just gonna see if I can do that. I'll just try to paint some round blobs, and then maybe we can make some accents. I'm so not experienced with watercolor. This would probably be easier for me with acrylic paints, to be honest. I just want to make a few because they could totally mess up everything. Seems like I need to add 2 coats. kind of disappearing on me. I think that's enough. That's 5. So after they dry, I'm gonna try to add this little dark part and also maybe a little white shine that they have. So I zoomed you in a little bit so you can see it better. So you see these black parts of the berries. I want to try to get those in. They're probably black brown, I'm guessing. So I'm going to try to mix black and brown together. Start with the brown. Let's add some black, which now totally looks like black. Okay, this is good. This looks like a good, nice dark brown. Now I want to see if I can actually manage to get just a tip, like the tiniest bit on it, because this is quite liquid. It would probably be better if it was a little more dry. So, and we don't want it really in the center. We want them, those dots looking like the berries are facing in one way. And then they need a highlight. So I'm gonna see if I can find a smaller highlight. I'm going to try this with my gesso again, and I took a very, very narrow pointed brush for this. Just giving it a little highlight. And actually I think I want to make these highlights a little bit brighter as well. Oops, that was a bit much. Now the only thing that bugs me a little bit is that my berries are kind of floating in the air. Because these here are on branches. The question is, can I draw branches? Why not? Let's give it a try. Going to stick with the same brush. I'm going to use this brown that I mixed. Maybe add a bit more water to it. You know what, I'm gonna add some of a lighter brown, this one, to it as well. Oh, that was too much. Okay, this I think is okay. I am a bit nervous. This is not something I ever do, as you might know from my channel. So I'm just going to try to copy what they did here. Maybe the stem goes in between the leaves here somehow. Here as well. Where does it come from? From the top. And these come, where do they come from? From here as well. Maybe they come from the same branch. There is one more thing I'd like to add to make it a bit more wintry. I have this cap of my paintbrush, and it has a really nice circular shape, and I'm thinking if I dip this into gesso and then put it here, that it could look like snowflakes. Going to try to take some gesso out. Put it on my palette. Maybe a little more. Then let's dip this in here. There, I just want it to be around the cap and not in the middle. Let's try stamping this. Yeah, I like it. This is super fun. Okay, I think I should stop. Even though this is so fun, I could keep going. I really should stop. Okay. So So this is the final result. There you see the white snowflakes. How cute are they? I like this much better than the initial result. Had a lot of fun playing around with this. So I hope this encourages you to play around with your materials. I hope you got something out of it, some new ideas, something new to try. And I hope you're not just watching my videos. I hope you're actually doing something in your own December daily journal or any other journal. Thank you for being here and hope to see you back tomorrow. I love you guys. Mwah, mwah.